everyone.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, welcome to another edition of What Makes Us Human, a place where we talk about all things that we have in common that make us human and kind of unite us. So today we have a really interesting topic, Ayanna.
Mhm.
Yes, we are going to talk about narcissistic mothers.
Ooh,
Yeah, that's a heated, juicy topic,
oh
right?
yeah. Oh boy.
But before we do that, let me just read you a little bit of what understanding with narcissism is as a disorder, right? Because
Okay.
a lot of times people use that term, right? And sometimes they're not using it correctly. So let me just read this to you.
Okay.
Narcissistic personality disorder is a mental health condition characterized by a long term pattern of exaggerated self importance, a deep need for excessive attention and admiration, troubled relationships, and a lack of empathy for others.
Mm.
It is crucial to understand that this behavior often stems from a fragile self esteem and an inability to handle anything they perceive as criticism.
Mm.
Yeah, this sounds familiar.
Ooh, Lord, Pia, we're gonna get into it tonight. I want to start. I don't normally do this, but I want to start with a disclaimer for anybody that's currently dealing with mother wounds, because this may be a triggering topic for you.
Yes.
This may be
Yes.
hard for you to listen to if you're currently struggling with your relationship with your mother, or feel
Mhm.
that you are a child of a narcissistic parent. I want to just hold space for you to say that we understand
Yeah.
and we're here if you feel any type of way about this conversation, because this can be very triggering,
This can
Pia.
be
I'm gonna be
very
real with you,
triggering.
girl.
Very triggering.
We about to
Very.
get into it. Toxic narcissistic mothers. And you know what is so crazy, Pia? I was on social media the other day,
Okay.
and there was a clip, a meme, because this is like the new trend on TikTok, where somebody says like, "Of course I'm a teacher. We blah 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 blah. Of course I'm." So I literally saw a video the other day with,
Mhm.
"Of course I'm a narcissistic mother," and she was
Mm.
listing out things that narcissistic mothers do in relationship, and I think we should just play that clip
Sure.
to have some context for our conversation. So
Yeah.
let me pull it up and
Okay.
let's play the clip. Let's run the clip and then let's talk about it.
All right, sure.
Narcissistic mother. Of course, I secretly would rather see you struggle than do well for yourself. The more you struggle, the more you have to rely on me, which means I get to control you. I'm a narcissistic mother. Of course, I had children to cater to my ego. The purpose of having kids is to teach blind obedience to me, not for them to be their own people. I'm their ruler. I'm a narcissistic mother. Of course, you have to earn my love. I'm a narcissistic mother. Of course, I've been emotionally unavailable your whole life. I didn't become a mom to meet your needs. I became a mom for you to meet mine. I'm a narcissistic mother. I can only love you for who I want you to be, not for who you are. As long as you do as I say, stick beside me in my toxic behavior, and participate in the fantasy I've created in my head, you have nothing to worry about, my love. I'm a narcissistic mother. Of course, I'd rather impress strangers and give the idea of a perfect family instead of actually having a healthy family dynamic. I don't really care about having a healthy family dynamic. As long as I get to post and keep up my false image, I'm fine. I'm a narcissistic mother. Of course, I play my children against each other and make them compete for my attention. I can never let them have a close relationship and leave me out the middle. Never. I'm a narcissistic mother. Of course, I'm going to be a seemingly loving grandmother, but only to one grandkid. I have to use the same manipulative tactics I used on my kids when they were younger. How else am I going to get them to compete for my love? I'm a narcissistic mother. I'll never apologize for the way I treated you, but I'll blame you for the way that you reacted. I'm a narcissist.
Wow, Pia, that clip was crazy.
It was kind of triggering for me.
Okay, she was hitting on some points.
She was hitting every point. I said, did she grow up in my household?
Ooh.
Mm.
Okay, do she know somebody I know? Especially
Exactly.
listen, that favorite grandchild. Of course, she has a child. That hit some points home for
It
me as
did.
well.
It did. I make a joke about it, but it really did bring home some points, for me
It
to
resonated with
think
you. So
about
let me
something.
ask you just flat out, Pia, do you believe that you are a child of a narcissistic mother?
Yes, I've always believed that. Yes,
Mm,
definitely, definitely.
okay. So let's
Um,
talk about it. So you have
yeah.
firsthand experience to this. How was it growing up with a mother who you believe is narcissistic?
Well, first of all, there were no boundaries, right?
Mm,
Absolutely no boundaries, and anytime you tried to set one, it was crossed. It was disregarded, right?
mm,
Um, any occasion where said individual, let's say that, was not the focus of the occasion,
mm,
then the occasion had to be ruined, whether it was
mm-hmm.
Christmas, whether it was Thanksgiving, whether we were giving thanks to God and not to mom, right?
Wow.
that was an
You couldn't
issue.
even thank Jesus. What?
Couldn't couldn't
Lord.
even thank Jesus. If you got a B, why didn't you get an A? It was always,
Uh,
deep
Never good
criticism.
enough. Right.
Never,
Criticism.
never ever good enough. Never good enough. Any emotions, any feeling that you had to be wrapped up in my mom, right? Whatever feeling that
Wow.
was, you couldn't own that feeling. You couldn't have that feeling. That was her feeling, and that was her time to express to you her discontent for you feeling that way about
Wow.
her, even though she didn't own that feeling. That was my feeling. If I'm
Yeah.
upset, if I'm sad, if I'm disappointed, she's mad, right?
Right. Like
Because
you don't even have a right to feel
exactly,
what you
you
feel.
don't have a right, or you
Whew.
hate me, right?
Mm,
This has nothing to do with you. I'm sad because something has
right.
to do with my personal life. So a
Right.
lot of things in that video really did, unfortunately, resonate
Hit home for
in my
you.
childhood.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? I used to say that I felt like my mother was narcissistic, and I've kind of pivot from that belief, but definitely has the manipulation of a narcissist,
Yeah.
the control game and the mind games and the victimization of the narcissist. Because in that definition that you read about narcissistic disorder is that they don't take accountability well or criticism well, and that they always refocus the situation onto themselves to
Yeah.
feed their very fragile ego. And so, there were some check boxes
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
video and in your definition when I think about my own experience. But I started to shift in that a little bit and say that while I don't necessarily think my mother is like diagnosably a narcissist, I think she is deeply emotionally scarred and emotionally immature.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
comes out with narcissistic tendencies because of that just crippled maturity level. Um, and she an only child, so that don't help, child. Because
Well,
we can
so
tie
was
that up.
mine.
We
Mine
can
is an only child also. So
see. We can
what's
tie
the
that up into it
connection?
because these only child folks really be tripping. They do not know how to share. They don't know. It's all about them.
Well,
So
here's the thing. My
yes,
my opinion about my mom's diagnosis has not changed. However, how I look at her, how I view her has changed, because I
gotcha.
do understand that this is a diagnosable disorder, right?
It
And
is
it comes from, it's rooted in a lot of pain and insecurity,
trauma,
right?
yeah, and
And
insecurity.
and you can't be happy being that way because your relationships are broken,
Yeah,
fragmented,
you're
strained.
miserable,
You're miserable. You're miserable.
and
So
misery love company, honey.
it's it, yes. So how I look at her, I look at her with a lot more empathy now.
Right, right. You're able to understand that it really is a diagnosable situation.
Yes.
And I don't, I mean, maybe, I don't stand on the position of diagnosing my mother, but definitely there are tendencies, honey. Definitely,
Mhm. Mhm.
very relatable, especially the pining
Yeah.
siblings against each
Yeah.
other type of
Yeah.
thing. And
Exactly.
you're the
Exactly.
good child versus the bad child. And I've dealt with that my whole life. My mother positioning the optics so that she is either the victor or the victim of a
Yes.
situation
Oh,
for
definitely.
every
Definitely.
situation.
Definitely.
And
Yes.
like you said, when you then come and voice your grievances and voice your concerns and voice your issues, it's met with hostility, it's met with defensiveness, it's met with anger, it's met with outright dismissal of your
Yes.
feelings. Like,
Mhm.
oh, well,
Yeah.
I'm not going to take accountability. And
No,
I've been
not at
there.
all. Not at all. Because it's not about them. This is a you problem, right? So
Yeah.
I'm not taking accountability
Yeah.
for something you
Ooh,
feel. Right.
So now
Yes.
cause this is great. Cause so these mother wounds, honey,
Yes.
how do
Yes.
you navigate this? How are you able to help other people through their mother wounds when you yourself have experienced the trauma of having a parent that is narcissistic, that you believe is narcissistic? So how do you maintain your peace? And then how do you help other people find their peace as a therapist?
Well, for me, my piece came probably about the age of 50 when I had to learn that it was okay for me to love from afar.
Mm.
I had to set those boundaries, love myself, right? Love myself enough to say, you don't deserve this. Right?
Mm.
You deserve a lot better than this. You can't, and this is not sustainable for you. It has caused you anxiety. It has caused you
Mhm.
a fortune in therapy. Right?
Mhm.
So I really had to set those boundaries. And now I deal with my mom on my terms,
Yeah.
right? When I've had enough, I know how to say, okay, so I'm gonna let you go now, right? And I have to say,
Okay.
I'm gonna let you go now. So she thinks it's her idea, right?
Right.
I'm gonna
Right.
let you go now when she starts talking crazy. And then I pick and choose the times I want to speak, how I
Yeah.
want to speak, whether it's over FaceTime, whether it's over the phone, whether it's via text, right? And so that's how I keep my peace. That's my best peacekeeper.
Got
Um,
you. Yeah.
in
I
terms
can
of
relate.
in
I can
terms of
relate to
when I
that.
work with clients,
Mhm.
I use a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy. We
Okay.
emphasize the journey of healing, understanding how their past, impacts their present, teaching them healthy coping skills, rebuilding a positive self-image. Because a lot of times when we have a narcissistic parent, narcissistic mother who's your main caregiver, right? You tend to develop a low self-image because of the criticism,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Because of the
absolutely.
constant beratement and criticism. So it's about helping an individual rebuild their self-image and teaching them how to set boundaries and loving themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the work right there. I do the same thing. I actually had a session today where I had that very similar conversation about the fact that you can love somebody safely behind a distance of your boundaries. Like
Yeah.
everybody doesn't automatically deserve access to you just
No.
because they have a relationship with you. Even your mother.
Mm.
Your mother isn't deserving of access if the treatment is mistreatment
Exactly.
and harmful
Exactly.
to you.
Yeah.
You are an adult and it's okay to decide this relationship causes me harm and I'm going to disengage from it
Mm-hmm.
to keep myself safe. I think for me, I think healing has come from me holding space for grace for my
Mm.
mother, seeing her as a person and not as the role of my mother.
Yes.
Understanding
Yeah.
that I only know of my mother for the past 36 years that I've existed. But prior to that, she was a whole
She was a
person
whole person. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
with a whole, world of experiences that
Mm-hmm.
happened before my existence that
Mm-hmm.
shaped who she was, not only as
Yes.
a person, but as a mother.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she walks in this world with her own traumas and her own
Talk about it.
triggers
Talk
and her
about
own holdups and her own emotional scars that fuels her behavior.
it. Yes.
I don't excuse certain behavior, especially behavior that's harmful to me, and I protect myself and ultimately my children from those behaviors
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it trickles down through generations. A narcissistic parent becomes a narcissistic grandparent.
Exactly.
So it's my job to protect my children from those behaviors. But I have grace and understanding for my mother as a person. Like I see Anne as little Anne. I see her as a baby.
Yes.
You know, I see her
Yes.
as teenage
Yeah.
her. And I think about the scars that were left in those moments that make her the woman she is of today, and how I hold space for that and understanding for that while I protect my self-interest.
Yeah.
While I protect myself emotionally, I can still hold space for understanding for my mother. And that helps me to forgive. It helps me to let go and know that it's not a me thing. It really is a her thing. These are her holdups. This is her inability to emotionally heal herself. And so these are things that I have to constantly remind myself so that I don't take it on as if it's a me problem and something's wrong with me because my mother treats me like this.
Exactly. And, acknowledging that and understanding that, I think, is really important in helping. Well, it's been important in helping me to redefine my own self identity outside of the shadow of my narcissistic parent, right? Which has been very important in my healing journey.
I'm curious to ask you, because you're a mother and I'm a mother, and we have similar mothering stories of how we became mothers. How did your experience with your mother shape how you mothered?
Well, it taught me everything that I didn't want to do, right?
Mm,
I know how I felt when, like I said, came home with a B instead of an A and was criticized about it, or,
mhm,
every time we had a family vacation or a family outing and it was ruined, right? Because all eyes weren't on me, and I said, I've always said to myself, if I ever raise a child, I'm going to do things totally different. I'm
mhm,
going to respect their boundaries, right? I'm going to understand how to love them and them to understand, that showing love is okay.
mhm, mhm.
Receiving it as well as giving it. And I just want to raise a healthy child, right?
Yeah,
So I had a very good example of what was unhealthy, and
yeah,
so I was able to do the opposite. But
the
I also
opposite.
had my grandmother, who was a saint. My grandmother was the best person in my life, and
Mm,
my dad, right? And so I had examples of how
yeah,
to healthy in a
how to
how to
healthy
parent,
parent and love a
yeah, in,
child,
in a
right?
healthy way. So I had examples. I just didn't have
Beautiful.
that mother example, but I had my grandma who was like my mom.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. I always said God sent me mothers throughout the journey that I needed at that time, and I believe that my biological mother, is definitely the mother I asked for and came to. I know people struggle with that when I say, we ask for our parents and we come to them and through them. And some people who don't have good relationship with their.
What was I thinking?
Say that again.
I said, what was I thinking? I asked for it.
Right,
What
like,
was I
why would
thinking?
I ask for this person? Why would
Why
I
would
come to,
I ask for
right,
this?
exactly. But I do believe that we divinely select who we come through, and I need my mother in this life journey and the
Yes,
lessons that
yes.
she presents
Oh,
to me.
yes,
But
definitely. I do believe
I've
that.
also had great examples in other women of the type of mothering I was missing with my biological mother.
Hmm.
The nurturing and supportive and uplifting
Yeah.
mother, the come to me and talk to me about anything type of mother that I
Hmm.
didn't necessarily
Hmm.
have with my biological mother.
Hmm.
Even affectionate. Like I'm
Yeah.
so affectionate with my children. I am
Yes,
always like, can I have a hug? Can I have a kiss?
exactly.
Give me
So
a
was
kiss.
I.
I'm always kissing
Yes,
on my kids all
yes,
day long, just a
yes.
million kisses. And I know it's because growing up, I was a child that really craved that type of connection
Hmm.
emotionally to my parents, and they weren't that that type of way. Like my mother was like, no, get off of me. What do you want a hug for? Like, get off of me. It was that type of response when I wanted to be affectionate in that way. And I just felt like I didn't get it as a child. And so now as a parent and an adult, I'm super affectionate. Like I want to hold your hand while we walk down the street. Exactly. I want to hug. I want to kiss. I want to cuddle, because I felt like that was something that I missed out on in childhood with the type of parent I had.
Yeah. I want to tell you how great you are, because telling you how great you are doesn't diminish my greatness.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And championing you, like really finding delight in my children is something that I try to do and remind myself to do, because I didn't necessarily feel like my parents delighted in me.
Exactly.
You know, they loved you, they care about you, but they didn't delight in me. So I try to find delight in my children. Something I dealt with my mom that I had some experience with, and this is it's on the same topic, but it's, I think, relatable to Black mamas and daughters, which is a caveat of this conversation, like a part 2 to this conversation. Because the Black mamas be tripping on the Black daughters.
Inside of me, like, boom, like, boom.
Right. Yeah. Okay. That's a heavy topic, but it's mothers being jealous of their children. That experience of feeling like you're in a secret competition with your mama. That's hard. Yeah, or they're in competition with you, right?
Competition with you because you're
right. Yeah. That's a hard pill to swallow.
It's hard and it's hurtful.
It is very hurtful. Very hurtful. Because why would I ever be in competition with something that created me? Like you literally created me. There is no competition, but why would you see me as that? I'm the product of you.
You're the product of me. It's all about me.
Yeah.
So because you're the product of me, I am here. You are here.
Stay in your place. Yeah.
Stay in your place. You can never reach this level. And if you try, I will do everything I can and say
to tear you down.
To tear you down and knock you right back down. Who do you think you are?
Yeah. Yeah. Woo, Pia, this is a doozy. This conversation honestly could just keep going and keep going. But the summary, to summarize, it's not easy when you are a child of somebody who is narcissistic, and you have to deal with the gaslighting and the manipulation and the mind games and the positioning of their feelings over yours. And it really does a number on your emotional and mental well-being.
We have to break the cycle. We have to break the cycle. We have to, choose us, choose self-care, self-compassion, right? Develop strong support systems.
Absolutely.
Outside of that parent, that individual, that can provide strong models for us. And therapy. It helps.
Therapy, y'all. Yeah, it's okay. Come sit down and process it. Unpack those bags. Heal those mother wounds. Talk about it. Free yourself from it.
Counseling services.
That's right. Tell them how they can find us, Pia, where they can find us and how they can connect with us.
So you can shoot us an email at transformcounselingservices.com. You can link up with myself, Ayanna, or any other of our great therapists. You can also catch us on Instagram at Transformation Counseling SVCS. Yes. Where can they reach you, Ayanna, besides the website?
I am also on Instagram at Harriet Return. That's ED at the end of return. And I'd love to connect with you. So hit me up. All right. We want to stay connected. We want to continue to have these conversations. We want to know what you want to hear from us. So make sure you make sure you hit that subscribe button, share with a friend and a family, comment, let us know what resonates. Is there anybody out there that's currently dealing with a mother that they feel is narcissistic? And how are you dealing with it? How are you coping? And how are you setting healthy boundaries for yourself? We want to hear from you. So make sure and interact in the comment section and continue to follow us for more great conversations on what makes us human. Good night, y'all.